Om
Sahana.
Om 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 Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram.
Om Tacham Yoravriணிமஹே Gatum Yagnaye Gatum Yagnapate Devi Swastirastuna Swastiramanushabhya Urdhav Jigatu Bheshajam Shanno Astu Dvipade Shanchatushpade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We together invoke that Supreme Paramatma through our thoughtful right actions and interactions with the world. May you, Paramatma, guide us all, in spite of our shortcomings, to Swasti, a state of ease and balance. As we partake in the medicine of life experiences, let us be open. May our mind not be a stumbling block, and may we learn and grow through life experiences. May you, Paramatma, shower your auspiciousness, not just on all humans, but all creatures as well. May we transcend all obstacles and attain peace, serenity, and tranquility.
Ritu, do you want to recite the whole Purusha Suktam up to here? Are you comfortable?
I can try. I'm better with first few verses.
And you can stop when you want to. That's okay, but do it.
Sahasrashirasha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishvato Vritva Atyatishthadashangulam Purusha Evedagum Sarvam Yadbhutam Yach Bhavyam Utamritatvaseshanah Yadannena Tirohati Etavanasya Mahima Ato Jayagasya Purushaha Padosya Vishwa Bhutani Tripadasya Mritam Divi.
Lata wanted to chant as well, so at some point.
I didn't mean this one.
Okay, all right. Okay, sorry.
Ripadurdva Udait Purushaha Padosyeha Bhavat Punaha Tato Vishwavyakram. That's a tough one.
Tato Vishwan Vyakramat.
Tato Vishwan Vyakramata Sashana Nashine Abhi Tasmad Virad Jayata Virajo Adhipurushaha Sajato Atyarichyata Paschad Bhumimatho Puraha Yat Purushena Havisha Deva Yagnamatanvata Vasanto Asya Sidajam Grishma Idma Sharadhavihi.
Okay. Saptasyasan paridhayaha trisaptas samidhah krutaha devayat yajnyantan vanaha avadnan purusham pashum Tayyajnam barhishi praukshan Purushan jatamagratah Tena deva ayajanta Sadhya rishayaschaye Tasmad yajnat sarvahutah Sambhrutam prushadajyam Pashugaschagachakre vayavyan Aranyan gramyaschaye Tasmad yajnat sarvahutah Ruchasamani jagnire Chandagumsi jagnire Tasmad Yajustasmad ajayata Tasmadashva ajayanta Yekecho bhayadatah Gavo hajagnire tasmat jata ajavayah Yat purusham vyadaduhu Katitha vyakalpayan Mukham kimasya kau bahu Kavuru pada vucchete Brahmanosya mukhamasit Bahu rajanyah krutah Uru tadasya yad vaishyah Padbhyagum shudro ajayata Chandrama manaso jatah Chaksho suryo ajayata Mukhadindraschagnischa Pranad vayurajayata Nabhya asidantariksham Shishnaudyo samavartata Padbhyam bhumirdishashrotrat Tatha lokagum akalpayan Vedahametam purusham mahantam Aditya varnam tamasastu pare Sarvani rupani vichitya dhiraha Namani kritva bhivadan yadaste Dhata purastadyamuda jahara Shakra pravidvan pradishastratasraha Tamevam vidvan amrita iha bhavati Nanyaf pantha ayanaya vidyate. So far, we've seen almost the entire Purusha Suktam from the Yajurveda, 17 mantras. Today we'll see the last mantra, and then the whole thing will be summarized. So I will not say what all we've studied up to now. Okay, so we'll just do the last mantra now. So somebody was going to repeat after me. Please do so.
Lata.
Okay.
Okay. Yagnena yagnamaya janta devaha.
Yagnena yajnamayajanta devaha.
Tani dharmani prathamanyasan.
Tani dharmani pratamanyāsan.
Tehanakam mahimanna sachante.
Tehanakam mahimana sachante.
Yatra purve sadhya santi devaha.
Yatra purve sadhya santi devaha.
So what happened? It's now coming to the conclusion. So great yajnas were performed by these devatas. Remember, we said that's the yajna where they used. Everything was from that Paramatma. The altar of worship was Paramatma. The ingredients they used was Paramatma. The fire they started had come from Paramatma. They themselves who were worshipping were also from that Paramatma. In essence, just to say, everything is that Brahman alone. That truth alone is everything. So in the beginning of creation, it said they performed yajnas. So actually, there are many, many types of yajnas. In Bhagavad Gita, you'll see in chapter 4, Bhagavan talks about, I think, 12 yajnas at least. All those are for we to do to purify ourselves. But anyway, it is said the Devatas did yajnas. We also can do yajnas. And what happened? These yajnas, Tani Dharmani Pratamanyasan, they become a great and noble sadhana, a means for all of us to follow. So a method of worship and sacrifice and service becomes for all of us a noble practice because it's going to help us move on this path of spirituality. So not only did the Devas show us that example, we can use this to move forward on our spiritual paths. Now, what did these Devas gain? If you say, Yatra Purve Sadhya Santi Devaha, all the gods, all the Purushas, symbolically saying, they were already so pure that when they did that, they attained great glory. Teha Nakam Mahimana Sachante. They went to Nakam, heaven, where there is no sorrow, and they attained immortality. Where by going to that, meaning all these devatas, these forces of nature, the presiding deities, they're very pure. This is what our Vedas say. Whether it's Varuna Devata, Agni Devata, Vayu Devata, they were already in that status because they are extremely pure. And when they did such a worship to further creation and did such service, they attained immortality, it is said. No more did they even get the position of these different, jobs, duties of these. Can you imagine to become the presiding deity of the sun, or the presiding deity of water? It's the highest, it is said in our Vedas. And these people, these devatas, when they did such a yajna to bring creation, they no longer had to do anything. They become one with totality of consciousness. This is for the ultimate, those devatas. But what about you and me? What about you and me? So for us, all yajnas should be done as worship of God to purify the mind. And yajnas means practices, right? Even whether it is a bhakti yoga, whether it is a karma yoga, whether it is our raja yoga, whatever we are doing, or our little duty, not little, a big duty in our homes or at workplace, all of them can be an act of worship if we maintain the right attitude. Okay, so these yajnas can help us move forward on the path of this spiritual journey that you and I are doing. And so these yajnas can be a practice, and so that we purify the mind, but they also can give us great results. And that result will be only through Jnana Yajna, where we attain that supreme reality. Okay, so the sadhanas that we do, the yajnas that we do, practices that we do, about 12 of them given in the Bhagavad Gita. You can, see that in chapter 4. They're all to purify our mind, to make our mind focus and concentrated. And Bhagavan is so compassionate. He looks at all types of personalities and suggests various things that we can pick up and say, I will use this. I will use this to quieten my mind. I will use this to bring focus and concentration. And then the one which will finally give results is that Jnana Yajna, where we understand our true nature. And how do we gain that? By study of such texts, by study of Upanishads, by contemplating and, clarifying all our doubts, meditating and abiding in that knowledge. We also see the result of such yajnas. So Jnana Yajna is considered as the most, the utmost. And why should all these yajnas mean some practice of an action? Whether it is I'm doing a puja, whether I'm doing a social service somewhere, whether I'm serving my family here, they are all actions. But through all these actions, ultimately we want happiness. Now you see, if we understand I am that happiness, that treasure which I was looking in all these outside pursuits is already within me. That fullness, that completeness, that peace, that paramashanti is my nature. If I understand that, what else do we need? We are fulfilled. Purpose of life is fulfilled. So every action that we do in our own surroundings versus going out into society and participating does not matter. All of these ultimately should bring us to our understanding of our true nature. So now this Purusha Suktam is such a beautiful, study that we are doing. The ultimate understanding, even through this act of studying, we should at least come to this understanding. I am that manifestation of that Virat Purusha. I am also one with that Purusha. In fact, we all are that one in our true essence. This is what we should strive for, whether it is the Devatas gaining immortality or we understanding through study of such texts, through all the practices that we do every day to serve the people around us, to serve a little bit larger in society, it doesn't matter. We all have to come to this understanding of this message of Purusha Suktam. We are one. They cannot be anything else. In essence, we are one. This is the message of Purusha Suktam. So now let's summarize this entire Purusha Suktam that we have studied so far. So we said, I'll go into that. The first one is Vision of Purusha. So Purusha Suktam is a great, ancient hymn found in all 4 Vedas. That's the first thing we studied. And the one which we studied is the one from the Yajur Veda. It has 18 mantras. The Rig Veda has 16. And, Atharva Veda maybe 1 or 2 lines, and Samaveda maybe a few lines as well. And it might even be scattered in those Vedas. It may not be all together, but doesn't matter. All of them will have this Purusha Suktam. Some part of it will be there. And so there are 4 topics in this Purusha Sukta. One is the Purush. Who is this Purusha? So we have to understand, and we did the vision of what this Purusha means. We studied that. Then we said this, whatever happened when the Purusha started the creation, there was a sacrifice which happened. The same Purusha, because it was the only thing, had to sacrifice to become many, many things. So that the many things you really don't actually, even at this point, don't understand that it is from the same source, right? But that sacrifice happened. And because of that sacrifice, there was a tremendous service given to all of us. That service, understand, is a chance for you and me, these jivas, to move to our highest nature. This is the greatest service that Purusha has done for us jivas and for all things, so that we can move up. We have an environment where we can learn, practice, and move forward on the spiritual journey to understand our true nature. This is the service, and that is the sacrifice that Purusha has done. And then from that, of course, from that sacrifice came this creation. And we also form a part of this creation. And no man can remain an island. We definitely have to work together. And therefore, the Samaja Sangatana was the social order, the social structure which came for smooth functioning of society in the language of the Bhagavad Gita. This is Dharma Samstapanas. These are the 4 topics of the Purusha Suktam. We clearly know that Purusha does not mean man at all. So now for all of us, ladies who are studying this, we should be very comfortable what this Purusha means. It means the totality God. Whether we say Satchidananda Brahman, or that Brahman with powers, the Ishvara, or that Brahman which has manifested as subtle things, that matter and energy which came in the beginning of that Big Bang, to this manifest world. Everything is that Purusha, that God. What we manifest and see, we see that manifestation is called Virat Purusha. But otherwise, Purusha is God, no gender. So none of us should feel in any way that Purusha means something that I can't recite this. Absolutely not. Now that we know the meaning more and more, we should be so comfortable and feel so blessed to be able to recite and understand this. And the 2 meanings for Purusha that we saw here is, one is Purnatvat Purusha. Purnatvat means that Purusha is limitless and infinite, and therefore fills everything. That created, entered into everything is the dramatic language of the Upanishads. Okay, so that presence of the truth is everywhere. And not only that, everywhere means in us. Never let us be away, or somebody we don't like be away as well, in the heart of all beings. And that is Puri Shayanath, in this city of 9 gates, this body with 9 apertures, there lies this Purusha as well, enlivening every moment of this existence. So our journey should be from this Puri Shayanath to understand that Purnatvat Purusha. This is our journey. Understanding my true nature and to see this Lord everywhere is this journey. And this is what this Purusha Suktam is taking us to. And we saw the various ways this Purusha Suktam is used. That's why it's so popular. First of all, chanting. Chanting right after the Upanayanam ceremony. This is the first, thing that is taught to youngsters. And the chanting of Purusha Suktam is one of the primary things used in many rituals. Many rituals. Yajnas, it is used. It is used in our 16-step puja. It is used in abhishekas. So it is used in many rituals, karmas. Then it is also used to sit and meditate, contemplate on that Supreme Purusha. Right? We turn our attention to the Lord. So we lift our mind from our usual preoccupations to something which is more sublime, something which is more subtle. And the more we do, mind becomes quiet. More we do, mind becomes quiet. It's as though all the agitations fall off. That is the impurity in our minds. All the agitations, all the disturbances, all the distractions, drop away. This is purifying the mind. And then what happens? When we meditate on that essence of that Purusha, which is not different from me. Jiva, Brahma, Aikya can take place through this meditation on this Purusha Sukta as well. And most beautiful comes this understanding as we study this Purusha Suktam. This Vyapakatva and Samanvaya happens in us. What is this Vyapakatva? Constantly our focus is on the differences that we see in this world. There's so much of diversity, so much of variety, right? Not only in just what we see, but even in our thinking, contradictions, all kinds of things within our own selves. But the more we study Purusha Sukta and understand, our mind becomes expansive. We gain a holistic vision. It is not fragmented anymore. Okay, so this is the Vyapakatva that happens. And then what we understand that there is a place for everything. Everything has its place. Everything is unique. Everything has a role. All of us, each one of us is not some small person. Don't look at us like, no. We all have a unique role in this earth. We've come here to fulfill a unique purpose. Nobody else can fill that shoes. In that sense, that we are also have something to contribute. And so accepting and then seeing the role of everybody and everything, this brings that Samanvaya as well. So we are inspired after we study Purusha Suktam to move from our individuality to one with the totality. One with the totality. This is the vision of the Purusha Suktam. But when we understood who this Purusha is, said everything is that Purusha. Oh, have all the countless heads and eyes and sense organs, everything is that Purusha alone. If there was only one thing, everything has come from that. And it's so much more beyond. What we see, what we know of is just not even a finger's, size of that totality. And not what was there in the past, what was there now is now in the present, as well as in the future, is that manifestation of that Purusha. It is the totality as well as the individuality. Everything is that Purusha alone. And for us, what it reminds is these verses remind this is of a true nature. This is we, Jiva, with our true essence. This is who we are, making this journey in this world. One small part of a journey here. How many journeys we have made already? We think we are just this presently identified with this physical body, mind. But this is that Paramatma alone who's entered into me, as well as into all creatures. That is that Supreme Paramatma alone. So this is the vision of that totality given to us here in this Purusha Suktam. But how do I translate this in my life? How do I utilize this wisdom in my life? What can I bring into my life which reminds me constantly that we are this one Purusha alone who's become everything? That for us should be first and foremost bringing this attitude of compassion. Compassion. Because that's the only way this individuality, this loneliness, this separate feeling that we have, all the divisions that we feel, the only way we can overcome is understanding our oneness with everything around us. And Purusha Suktam is bringing that to us. And how do we practice this in our life? Bringing compassion. Compassion not just to others, to ourselves. Sometimes we're so harsh. We put ourselves down. And everything starts with, it's not for me. I cannot do this. But for me, we make ourselves small. Not so. Not so. Be compassionate to yourself. So, and how does that compassion come? Love and concern for ourselves. Love and concern for others. And that's because we are understanding there is unity. And for ourselves, what do? We have 4 layers of personality. Nothing can be, neglected. They have to be nurtured. It's a physical personality, exercise, nourishment, good, rest, important. Emotional mind should be kept in a positive frame. Whatever can help us in that. And intellectual study, keep, bringing new knowledge and keep it vibrant, no matter what age. And most importantly, our spiritual personality. How do I strengthen it? Meditation, japa, puja, whatever we can, karma yoga, everything to nurture our spiritual personality. So 4 layers should be nourished, nurtured. And how do I care for others? Acceptance, best way. Be a listener first. That just as I want to be happy, others do too. So all the time, wanting to say something harsh or wanting to have the one-upmanship, having the last answer, reacting, we have to calm down on that. Calm down on that. Doesn't help anyone, surely does not help us. Then came the next topic, which is the yajna. As the devatas did, we also, the Bhagwan has set an example for us. From the time of beginning of creation, everything in the creation is to serve all. Nothing is kept to me, me, me. Nothing in nature does that. They are constantly showing, starting from an earthworm, does its part. Turns the soil over so that nitrogen can be recirculated. Everything does something to help others, every creature. So this yajna should be a constant reminder that it is an act of worship, it's an act of surrender, it's an act of sacrifice, it's an act of service. We said, yes, in the early days, it was the devatas who, all the forces of nature, which kept on doing, worship of that Purusha, used everything from that Purusha to further the creation, right? And we also saw that it was one Paramatma alone who's become everything. So it is the Supreme Purusha who's setting the example. I might learn from a tree today. I might say, hey, it doesn't keep its fruits for itself. It doesn't keep its oxygen for itself. I might learn from that. But what is the essence of this tree? It's that Supreme Purusha alone. So the Supreme Purusha has set us the best example of sacrifice and service in everything around us. To us, this yajna topic should say loving service to all. Loving service to all. To the best we can do, we should not exploit, we should not cause harmful destruction. The more we look upon everything as divine manifestations, even the sandals that we use to protect our feet, we will respect it and keep it in the right place. Everything has a role. And also, we should use whatever resources we get in the service of God, that is, welfare of all. God is not just puja room God. We are now getting a clear understanding of God. And the best way we can do is not looking for me, me, me. How can I sacrifice a little of something, my time, my energy, my resources for, the welfare of all? Once we have taken care of our basic needs, anything that we gain as an extra should be thought of to see, what can I do with this? How can I help? So, of course, Swami Chinmayanji's very famous, beautiful quote, what we have is God's gift to us. But what we do with what we have is our gift back to that Lord. So whatever we are doing, whether it's taking care of the family, it's taking care of members of the society, it's whether taking care of people at work, or whether we are serving people indirectly, because many people who work in, software companies or engineering companies feel like, I'm not doing any direct service. You are. Through your work, you are helping others. And the others is nothing but that Lord who's the recipient through all these names and forms. What a comforting thought that I can also play my, role and do my part in serving this, entire creation in some way. And then came this beautiful and most misunderstood topic of this Samaja Sangatana. Bhagavan did that actually to help us to move from our duty, where we are, Swadharma, to that ultimate dharma, which is nothing but that supreme truth, our true nature. So everything, placing where we are, we can get to that. So the fourfold divisions of the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, clearly we understand that as far as action of anybody, activity of anybody, there's absolutely no superiority or inferiority. Cannot be that these divisions exist even in this, any society for that matter. Why in this? Any society. But the superiority or inferiority comes if we develop wrong attitudes and cause problems. And we have to admit, we have done enough harm in our country. We should not bring it into this country at all. We are now absolutely, we should have clarity in this. So there is no superiority or inferiority. Understanding people's aptitudes, abilities are different. Bhagavan said, work together with your different abilities and your capabilities so that the society can run smoothly. It's for the good of all. It's for the shreyas of all. So Chaturvarnya is a vyavastha. It's an organization for management, and you want to use the words in this, days. So that work gets done properly in society and things run smoothly. Now, when we keep saying everything has come from that Purusha, how can we say one thing is superior and another thing is inferior? Most important, we all should remember we have individual responsibilities. Our attitude should be that of a karma yoga, saying, I'm dedicating this action to that Lord, and whatever comes, I will accept as prasado Bhagavan. It brings these verses of Bhagavad Gita so much to mind when we do our actions in the present, giving up time, energy, focus to the task at hand. This is worship of God. Again, what is worship of God? What is dedicating actions to God? What is being an instrument of God? Clearly, let us understand the task at hand, my duty. If I give my 100%, my attention is on the task at hand, and I focus and bring all my energy to that right then. That is being in the now is worship of God. It's not like we have to think of Rama, Krishna every moment. No, Bhagavan also doesn't expect that. In the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, in the 30th verse, Bhagavan clearly says, what is this worship of God as far as action is concerned? And such actions actually purify us, make us quiet, make us at ease with ourselves. I've done my best. And when we've done our best like this, why won't good results come to us? You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. This is the attitude as far as the Samaja Sangatana, our role in society, what we have to do, and how we can actually move from selflessly fulfilling our duties to, as a worship of God, from oneself, me, individual, to that totality oneself. As I said, it's from Swadharma to the ultimate Dharma. When I do this, I am independently joyous. I just cannot help but do service for all, because I just see myself everywhere. I see that Bhagavan everywhere in the form of, if you say I'm a bhakta, I see my same Krishna Rama everywhere. Or if I'm somebody who's the intellectual and has understood the truth, it's me alone. It's the same truth alone. So loving service to all. This is how it will manifest. And therefore, we are at total ease and peace. So Purusha Suktam forms a great tool for understanding this oneness, underlying unity in this universe. How beautiful from where we are, that it will take us to our own true nature. And finally, putting all the things together as far as the Srishti, this creation, this manifest creation is concerned, we have understood that from that one Purusha sacrificing everything called a Sarvahuta Yajna, this entire creation has come here. So we said whether it's the sun, the moon, the 5 great elements, the Vedas, or everything was from that Purusha. From creatures, from a little unicellular creature to this intellectually evolved humans, to even, as mentioned in the Vedas, celestial beings, all are manifestations of that Purusha alone. All are from that. Not only that, not just this physical structures, but whatever is happening as all this chemical, electrical, mechanical functions in this body, plus everywhere expression of energy, everything has come from that one source alone. That one source, that pure consciousness power, is the matter and energy in our Vedas called as Prakriti. Maya Shakti is that matter and energy. Same, there's no difference. No difference. So let science speak whatever language. We accept. We don't have any quarrel. We don't have any quarrel. That's why we are so much at ease. The more you study Vedanta, the more you're at ease with everything. Everything, you understand its role. Okay? So what does this do to us? We have to move from our individuality to taking care of this entire, environment. It is our responsibility. And it is beautifully said, the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will take care of it. It cannot be. Each one has to do our role. If it is one less grocery bag that we bring that day, it's good beginning. It is one less plastic bottle that we use, good beginning. It never is it late. We have to do our part. We cannot pollute, we cannot, propagate, cannot do this. And again, the environment is in us, not outside us. We're totally interconnected. The air we breathe, the water, 70% body water, everything, there is total connection. And our rishis, our great masters, our current day saints, all of them are telling us this crisis that we face is because we have dropped understanding all this. We are not at all interested. We constantly are looking outside for solutions, whereas we have to begin with ourselves. This lack of nurturing our spiritual personality has caused so much of issues. Everything, believe it or not, will stem from that. Whether it's mental problems that we're facing to a great extent, the addiction problems that we're facing to a great extent, is because we've totally neglected our spiritual personality. I'm not saying we should not take care of all that. Thank goodness there are physicians, there are psychologists, there's so many people who can step in and help people who are struggling with those things, which is become a reality these days. But we cannot ignore our spiritual personalities. The more we move towards the understanding, especially all of us who probably at this time have a calmer mind, which can understand, we should make every attempt to understand that, to nurture it, and to do what we can to help to strengthen ourselves. The manifestations of neglecting that spiritual personality is so many, many problems that we see here. It starts as greed, it starts as selfishness, and then just blossoms and mushrooms into that atomic bomb cloud. And none of us can say, it'll go away. We cannot. We have to do what we can to change our habits. As far as I said, this consumerism, a question to ask is, do I need it? Or do I want it? Do I need it or do I want it? So all these beautiful hymns are bringing all this to our awareness. And you can see how important it is right now. So we have to take the message of Purusha Suktam to our hearts. We should. And truly it is a lie when I say you are different from me, or that person is different. This person's practicing this religion. They are different from me. They look different from me because of the color. Absolutely not. We're one with this totality, one with this universe. And again, another beautiful quote. The universe itself is saying to us, allow me to flow through you unrestricted, and you'll see the greatest magic you've ever seen. As you just sit down, I always say this, sometimes don't feel guilty about just sitting down, doing nothing, having your cup of tea or coffee, just looking like as though you're staring at something. That is a beautiful thing that you can do. Some great teacher also said, allow yourself to be bored. Allow yourself to be bored. Because, when you're clear in your head, when there's not much thoughts, is when this Bhagavan can flow through you. Now you put too many things. We take up too much on our plate. We then, have too many distractions. And where is the chance for the message of Purusha Suktam to flow through us? Quietly sit down. Quietly watch the sky. Quietly watch the tree. Quietly watch the plant in your house. Or, just as you're doing your dishes, that beautiful flow of water. What a magic it is. Feel that. What a miracle that somebody, I don't know who it was, thought of water, which cleanses everything. Just feel these things. Allow yourself to feel these things. And then you see how we open up to something so much bigger. So we have to absorb this message of Purusha Suktam. It's so beautiful. And we have to see how I can bring parts of it, at least some thoughts of it, which are stuck with us into our life. Maybe it is compassion. Maybe it's a little bit of less reactive behavior. Maybe it is a little bit of more, giving sometimes quietly. Maybe just focusing, prioritizing my things and saying, you know what? These are what I should give importance to. This is where I focus my attention. And then what can I do? It's not late. What can I do to help to take care of this beautiful nature which is contributing to my presence here on this earth? This is bringing that cosmic vision and that cosmic action that has happened to a cosmic transformation within you and me. And as we do this, as we study this, as we reflect on it, and, churn this more and more, we really seek the grace and blessings of that Supreme Purusha and all the gurus to bless us so that we can do our part and we can move forward on our spiritual journey. By translating whatever little, messages that we have caught into action, believe me, we are stepping up on our spiritual journey. We are getting closer and closer to that place of peace and strength in our hearts. Om Tachayora Vrunimahe Gatum Yajnaya Gatum Yajnapataye Daivi Swastirastunaha Swastirmanushebhyah Urdvam Jigatu Bheshajam Shanno Astudvipade Shanchatushpade Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.